Stop scrolling for a second and listen closely because what I'm about to tell you will change the way you see love forever. Most people miss it. Most people never notice it. And yet it's right in front of you every single day. There's a kind of love that doesn't shout, doesn't post on social media, doesn't demand attention, and yet it's the most powerful love you will ever experience. And if you think love is always loud, you are about to be shocked. Imagine someone who watches, who notices everything about you without saying a word, someone who remembers the little things you barely think about, someone who reaches out when no one else does, protects you without making a scene, and stays even when life gets messy. Most people call it coincidence. Most people call it luck. But it's not. It's a signal, a quiet, invisible, undeniable signal that someone is in love with you in a way you've never seen before. And here's the truth. If you don't learn to see it, you will keep missing it. You will keep ignoring the signs that are right there, hidden in the small gestures, the subtle touches, the invisible attention, and the quiet consistency that most people mistake for nothing. But these signs are louder than words. They are the proof of devotion, presence, and care that most people chase their entire lives and never find. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to see what no one has ever told you about love. You're going to recognize signals that you've been blind to, patterns that you've been missing, and gestures that are screaming the truth. Watch closely, pay attention, because the signs she is quietly in love with you are everywhere. And once you see them, nothing will ever look the same again. Most people think noticing someone means catching the obvious, the smile, the laugh, the way they dress, or the things they say aloud. But the truth, the deep, quiet truth, is that the people who really care, the ones who are quietly in love, they notice everything beyond the surface. They notice the moments no one else sees. They notice the details most people dismiss. And that is where real love hides. Think about it for a moment. How often do we feel seen in life? Truly seen, not just glanced at, not just superficially acknowledged. Most of the time, people look at what you show them on the surface and make assumptions. They miss the subtle shifts in your mood, the flicker in your eyes when something affects you, the way your shoulders slump when the day has been too heavy. She doesn't miss those things. She sees them. She feels them. And without a single word, she knows when something is off, even before you do. This is not coincidence. It's a reflection of attention, of care, of presence. When someone is quietly in love, their mind becomes attuned to yours almost instinctively. They start picking up on patterns, the way your tone changes when you're upset, the words you unconsciously repeat when you're anxious, even the tiny gestures that reveal when you're holding back. These are not things you announce. You don't make a show of them. But she sees them. And in that observation, she builds a silent map of your inner world. It's easy to overlook this because it's subtle. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand attention. But consider this: love, when it is genuine, doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need grand declarations or dramatic gestures. It thrives in observation, in understanding, in the invisible care that shapes her every thought about you. She notices when you don't sleep well, when you're pretending to be fine, when your laughter doesn't quite reach your eyes. She notices the things that others pass by, the things that matter the most to your heart. And the most fascinating part, she remembers. Every little detail that might seem insignificant to you, your favorite way to drink coffee, the song that makes you pause, the story you told once about your childhood. She stores them in the quiet corners of her mind. Then, at the perfect moment, she brings them up, not to show off, not to prove she was paying attention, but because she wants you to feel understood, to feel that someone truly sees you. That is love speaking without sound. That is care expressed without a single "I love you." Psychologically, this behavior is profound. Humans crave recognition, not just of achievements, but of existence, of essence. When someone notices the small, invisible parts of who you are, it triggers a deep sense of connection. It validates your inner world. It tells you without words, "You matter. I see you. You are not invisible." And she understands this on a level most people never do. That is why the quiet ones, the ones who watch, who observe, who notice everything, are often the most powerful carriers of love. Now, notice how this ties to the larger picture of subtle signals. When someone is quietly in love, their noticing is not passive. It is active, deliberate, and consistent. It's in the way she adjusts her words when she talks to you, in the way she tunes into your energy, in the way she remembers the tiniest detail you mentioned months ago. She's creating an invisible thread between her world and yours, one observation at a time. And this thread is not obvious, but it is unbreakable. Philosophically, this speaks to a greater truth about human connection. Most people skim life superficially. They look at appearances, at actions that are loud and flashy, at words that demand attention. But the deepest connections are formed in silence, in noticing, in the kind of attention that doesn't seek reward. To notice someone deeply is to honor them without expectation. And when she notices you in this way, she is quietly honoring every part of who you are. She is acknowledging your inner universe in a way that few ever do. This is why so many people miss it. They see love as loud, as dramatic, as something that must be declared to be real. But the truth is, love often whispers in small, invisible ways. When she notices the little things, when she sees you in ways no one else does, that is her love speaking. That is her care manifesting. And if you learn to recognize it, you will understand the depth of her feelings in a way that words could never convey. So pay attention, look beyond the surface. Notice the quiet gestures, the unspoken details, the subtle patterns. If someone notices the small, seemingly insignificant parts of your life, you are witnessing something extraordinary. You are witnessing the invisible architecture of love. You are witnessing care that does not need applause, attention, or confirmation. You are witnessing presence in its purest form. And here is the truth I want you to hold on to. Noticing is not accidental. It is intentional. It is deliberate. It is a choice made quietly every day. If someone notices the invisible parts of you, it means they have chosen to pay attention. And attention, when given freely and consistently, is one of the purest forms of love you will ever experience. So today, open your eyes, listen with more than your ears, observe with more than your sight, feel with more than your heart. Recognize the quiet signals, honor the subtle gestures, and never underestimate the power of someone who sees you fully, even when you think no one is watching. Because when you notice the quiet noticing, you will understand a truth most people never do. Love doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers, and in those whispers, it changes everything. There is a kind of love that doesn't need words. You might think love has to be announced, declared, or dramatized. But the truth is, the most powerful love often shows up in actions, in the quiet consistency of behavior, in the things that are done without expectation, without reward, and without anyone watching. And this is the second sign that she is quietly in love. Her actions speak about it than words. Think about it. Words are easy, Anyone can say, I care. Anyone can say, I love you. Anyone can make promises. But actions take effort, awareness, and intention. They are the footprints of attention, of investment, of something deeper than a fleeting feeling. When she acts in ways that support you, encourage you, protect you, or simply make your life lighter, even when it is inconvenient or unnoticed, she is revealing the truth of her heart in ways that words could never capture. This is subtle, but it is significant. She reaches out without a reason, not because she wants attention, not because she wants something in return, not because she wants something in return. She reaches out because she genuinely wants to hear from you. She wants to know how you are, even in the smallest details of your day. A text, a call, a message, these might seem ordinary to anyone else, but when someone is quietly in love, they are profound gestures. They are small bridges she builds to connect with your world, even when she feels invisible in it. Her actions are deliberate, often unconscious, but never random. When she goes out of her way to accommodate you, when she adjusts her schedule, when she remembers a small preference or a need you mentioned months ago, these are not acts of obligation. These are acts of attention. These are acts of care. They are the silent ways she says, I see you. I care about you. Your world matters to me. And if you can learn to see these acts for what they truly are, you will understand a depth of feeling most people never experience. Psychologically, this reveals a profound understanding of human connection. Words can be cheap, easily spoken, and easily forgotten. Actions, on the other hand, require intention. They demand thought, they demand awareness. When someone chooses to act in ways that support, uplift, and consider another person without expectation of return, they are engaging in a form of communication that is more authentic than any speech, more truthful than any declaration. It is a language of the heart that speaks directly to the soul. And here is where it becomes truly fascinating. The quiet gestures of love are often invisible to those who are looking for loud proof. If you are waiting for declarations, for grandiose confessions, for dramatic displays, you will miss this entirely. But if you pay attention onto patterns, to subtle behaviors, to the consistency of care, you will see what most people never notice. She shows up when it matters. She listens when it counts. She remembers when it seems forgotten. Her love is not performed, it is lived. Consider the deeper implications. Most people judge relationships by words, by promises, by visible expressions, but the most enduring, most meaningful connections are built on action, on consistency, on the quiet investment that doesn't seek applause. When she takes steps to support you, to care for you, to be present in small ways, she is demonstrating an understanding of love that transcends the superficial. She is building trust, safety, and intimacy through her actions alone. And that is far more powerful than any verbal expression could ever be. Look closer, and you will see it everywhere. She anticipates your needs without being asked. She notices when you are struggling and subtly steps in to help. She sacrifices small comforts so that your life is smoother, easier, or more joyful. These are not acts of duty, they are acts of affection, of love expressed in the language of life itself. The quiet care, the deliberate thought, the unspoken commitment, these are her messages, and they are louder than any words could ever be. Philosophically, this tells us something profound about human relationships. Love is not just a feeling, it is a practice, it is an action, it is a choice made over and over again, often without recognition, often without reward, often without fanfare. And when someone quietly in love acts in these ways, she is not just showing affection. She is practicing love as a conscious, intentional way of being. She is teaching a lesson that many never learn. Love is revealed, not in what we say, but in what we do consistently, deliberately, and with attention. Now, think about the implications for how you pay. Reese people around you. How often do we dismiss small gestures because we are waiting for something dramatic, something that will catch the eye, something that will announce itself loudly? How often do we overlook the quiet support, the consistent presence, the subtle acts of care, because we are conditioned to expect love as spectacle? And in that oversight, how much depth, how much connection, how much truth do we miss? So here is the truth. If someone is quietly in love, she will act in ways that matter, in ways that are consistent, in ways that demonstrate her care without needing credit or recognition. She is speaking in a language you may have never learned to hear before, but it is there. It is deliberate. It is true. And the more you pay attention, the more you will understand what she has been saying all along, not with words, but with the choices she makes, the effort she invests, and the presence she maintains. So pay attention to the actions. Notice the small gestures. Recognize the subtle sacrifices. Value the quiet support, because this is where the deepest, most genuine expressions of love live. And when you learn to see love in action, when you learn to honor it, when you allow yourself to recognize it, your understanding of connection, intimacy, and human emotion will change forever. And remember this: words can lie, feelings can be fleeting, but actions are proof. Actions are evidence. Actions are the voice of love that cannot be ignored. Watch closely, listen carefully, and let the quiet gestures speak to you in ways you will never forget. One of the most overlooked signs that someone is quietly in love is the way she mirrors and protects you. This is subtle, almost invisible if you are not paying attention, yet it is one of the most profound expressions of care and connection that exists. She doesn't need to announce it. She doesn't need to ache a spectacle, but her actions, her presence, her instincts reveal a truth that words often fail to capture. She is deeply attuned to your energy, and she is invested in your world in ways that go far beyond surface level affection. Mirroring is not about copying someone's behavior for the sake of it. It is about reflection. When she mirrors your energy, your moods, your gestures, it is a signal of unconscious connection, a bridge between her world and yours. She laughs when you laugh, even if the joke is small or silly. She softens when you are gentle. She tenses when you are stressed. She feels your emotions without being told, almost as if she is tuned into an invisible wavelength that only the two of you share. And this is not coincidence. It is the quiet, invisible language of love. Think about this. When someone mirrors you, it is more than mimicry. It is empathy in its purest form. It is understanding that goes beyond what words can explain. It is a recognition that your inner state matters and that your emotional world deserves attention. And when she mirrors you, she is doing more than just reflecting. You feel validated, understood, and connected. She is silently saying, I am here with you. I feel with you. You are not alone. But it doesn't stop there. Mirroring is only one side of the coin. The other, often more powerful aspect of her love is protection. She doesn't protect you to control you. She doesn't protect you to impress you or to prove anything to the world. She protects you because she values your well-being. She notices when someone or something might harm your peace, your reputation, or your spirit. She steps in quietly, carefully, without fanfare, without needing recognition. She shields you from unnecessary conflict. She defends your name when it is spoken unfairly, and she stands quietly in the background, ensuring that your life is a little safer, a little lighter, and a little more secure than it would be without her. This protection is not always visible to the outside world, which is why it often goes unnoticed. Most people expect love to be dramatic, loud, and declarative, but true care does not need an audience. She may never announce what she has done, but her actions speak volumes to anyone who can perceive them. And when combined with her mirroring, protection becomes an even more profound testament to the depth of her feelings. She not only feels your emotions, but takes tangible steps to safeguard them. She does this instinctively without thinking because her love is silent, consistent, and deliberate. Psychologically, this behavior is fascinating because it demonstrates how deeply humans can connect beyond words. Most people communicate affection through verbal acknowledgement or visible gestures, but the most authentic connections are formed in subtle, nonverbal ways. Mirroring and protection are mechanisms of empathy and investment. They create a bond that is almost invisible but unbreakable. She tunes into your rhythms, adapts to your emotional frequencies, and positions herself in ways that shield and support you. This is intimacy at its highest form, a unknown. Ion that is felt rather than spoken, experienced rather than explained. It is important to notice how these behaviors manifest in everyday life. She remembers what you say, and her responses reflect understanding, not obligation. She aligns with your moods, not to manipulate, but to connect. She intervenes when circumstances might harm you, often before you even realize there is a threat. Every action is a choice, deliberate or instinctive, rooted in care, and guided by a desire to nurture and protect the connection between the two of you. And this is why those who fail to notice these signs often miss the depth of her feelings entirely. They are searching for loud proclamations while ignoring the subtle symphony of love happening in plain sight. Philosophically, there is something profound to learn here. Love is not merely an emotion, it is an active, conscious engagement with another person's life. To mirror someone is to participate in their emotional world. To protect someone is to take responsibility for their well-being in ways that do not diminish their autonomy. Together, these behaviors form a pattern of silent devotion that is rare and transformative. When someone engages with you in this way, they are offering something far more significant than fleeting affection. They are offering understanding, safety, and presence. But here is the challenge. Recognizing this type of love requires attentiveness. Most people are too distracted, too impatient, or too focused on dramatic gestures to see the subtle truth. The love that mirrors and protects doesn't demand attention. It waits quietly, consistently, often unnoticed until you choose to pay attention. And when you finally notice it, the realization is staggering because it carries weight, depth, and permanence. It is the kind of love that reshapes how you see connection, how you perceive care, and how you value emotional intimacy. So pay attention, watch her energy, notice her patterns, and recognize her silent interventions. Appreciate the ways she aligns with you, reflects you, and shields you from harm. These are not small gestures. They are declarations written in the language of action, in the subtle art of presence. They are the invisible architecture of love that most people will never perceive, and yet they hold the power to transform everything you think you know about relationships and connection. And remember this, Love that mirrors and protects does not need an audience. It does not need applause. It does not even need acknowledgement to exist. It thrives quietly, consistently, intentionally, and powerfully. If you recognize it, honor it, and respond to it with the awareness it deserves, you will witness a form of devotion that is rare, profound, and life-changing. Love is not always loud. Sometimes it is a mirror, sometimes it is a shield, and when you finally understand how to see it, you will never look at relationships the same way again. There is a kind of love that does not announce itself. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand attention, and it certainly doesn't parade for validation. This is the kind of love that hides in subtle signals, and if you are not paying attention, you will miss it entirely. This is the fourth sign that she is quietly in love. Her feelings are expressed in ways that are almost invisible, in gestures so small and nuanced that most people mistake them for coincidence or habit. But they are deliberate, they are intentional, and they are powerful beyond measure. Think about the human experience for a moment. Most people are conditioned to look for grand expressions of affection. We expect bold words, dramatic gestures, overt declarations. We are trained to equate love with visibility. But the reality is, the most profound love of 10 exists beneath the surface. It is felt in pauses, in fleeting glances, in tiny adjustments of behavior that reveal care without fanfare. It is a love that whispers rather than shouts, and it is often the most difficult kind of love to recognize, but the most enduring once discovered. Subtle signals are everywhere if you know how to see them. The way she listens intently when you speak, not interrupting, not dismissing, but absorbing every word as though it carries weight. The way her eyes follow you, not in obsession, but in quiet curiosity, as though she wants to know the inner rhythms of your mind and heart. The way she remembers details that you barely considered important and brings them up later, seamlessly weaving them into conversation. These are signals most people overlook, but they are the fingerprints of someone who cares deeply, who is emotionally invested, and who is quietly in love. She may not confront it overtly, she may not argue or make a scene, but her energy shifts when others pay you attention. It's not a need to control, it's an instinctive response, a signal of attachment, a reflection of the value she places on the connection she feels with you. And these moments are never loud. They are delicate, almost imperceptible, but they reveal the depth of her feelings more than words ever could. There is a philosophical truth here that is worth reflecting on. The quieter the signal, the deeper the feeling. Loud declarations can be performative, fleeting, or driven by the need for recognition. Subtle expressions of care, however, are not performative, they are intrinsic. They arise from a place of genuine attention, from a desire to connect, from a silent commitment that does not seek reward. When someone communicates love in these ways, they are speaking a language few understand, but one that resonates the core of human connection. Psychologically, this makes perfect sense. Human beings crave recognition, validation, and understanding, but we are often distracted by the superficial. We mistake volume for sincerity, spectacle for devotion. Yet the mind is most attuned to patterns, small cues, and behaviors that reveal intentions. When someone is quietly in love, their subtle actions form a consistent pattern of care. The pattern may be invisible at first glance, but over time it becomes undeniable. It is woven into the way she interacts with you, thinks about you, and prioritizes you without ever needing to announce it. Consider her behavior in ordinary life. She may touch your shoulder lightly in passing, linger a little longer in conversation, than necessary or adjust her schedule to accommodate yours without mentioning it. She may compliment you in ways that feel offhand but are carefully chosen to uplift you. She may smile at your quirks, remember your preferences, or even anticipate your moods before you articulate them. To someone not attuned, these gestures might seem insignificant, even accidental, but to someone who knows how to see them, they are love revealed in its purest form, quiet, intentional, and transformative. Subtle signals also demonstrate emotional intelligence. She understands the power of restraint, the value of timing, and the influence of perception. She knows that love does not need constant affirmation to exist. It only needs consistency, presence, and awareness. She does not overwhelm with her emotions. She does not demand reciprocation. Instead, she creates a space where her feelings can exist, grow, and communicate themselves naturally. And in doing so, she invites you to see and understand love not as a spectacle, but as a living, breathing experience that exists in the interplay of behavior, observation, and intention. Now, act on this. Most people will never notice subtle love because they are conditioned to ignore what does not shout. They are conditioned to value volume over depth, drama over nuance. But the truth is, the most profound connections are formed in these quiet spaces. They are formed in signals that are almost invisible, in patterns that require awareness, in actions that are intentional but understated. To recognize this type of love, you must slow down, pay attention, and be willing to look beyond what is obvious. When you do, the impact is undeniable. You begin to see her presence everywhere, in the pauses, in the attention, in the little things that build up over time. You begin to understand that she is invested in your well-being, your happiness, your emotional state, often without seeking anything in return, and that understanding changes how you perceive love entirely. It teaches you to value depth over spectacle, presence over performance, and care over words alone. So pay attention to the signals that whisper rather than shout. Observe the details that seem almost invisible. Notice the way she prioritizes you subtly, the way she remembers without being prompted, the way she responds without expectation. These are the signals of love that matter most. These are the signs that she is quietly, profoundly, and intentionally in love. And remember this: love that hides in subtle signals is not weak. It is deliberate. It is powerful. It is transformative. It requires awareness to recognize, patience to appreciate, and courage to respond to. If you can see it, honor it, and act on it, you will understand a depth of connection that most people never experience. Love is not always loud. Sometimes it is hidden. Sometimes it whispers in ways that are easy to miss, but impossible to forget once noticed. And when you finally recognize it, it will change everything you knew about care, connection, and devotion. One of the most powerful signs that someone is quietly in love is not in what they say, not in the way they smile, not in fleeting gestures that can be overlooked. It is in their consistency, their quiet presence, and the way they stay even when it would be easier to leave. This is the fifth and perhaps most profound sign. She stays through difficulties. She does not vanish when life gets messy. She does not walk away when circumstances are hard. She does not abandon you because it is inconvenient, uncomfortable, or challenging. Instead, she remains, and in that quiet endurance, she reveals the depth of her feelings in a way that no dramatic act or loud declaration ever could. Think about this for a moment. Most people are conditioned to view love as a whirlwind of emotion, as a series of highs and lows that are thrilling, entertaining, and sometimes overwhelming. But real love, the kind that lasts, the kind that transforms, the kind that is quietly powerful, is not about drama. It is not about moments that make headlines or gestures that attract attention. Real love is steady. It is reliable. It is present in the small, consistent acts of showing up, of being there, and of choosing to stay even when it is difficult. This is why her staying is so important. It is easy to be present when things are smooth, when life is simple, when everything aligns with convenience and comfort. Anyone can be cheerful when the sun is shining, but to stay when storms come, to remain calm when emotions are high, to remain patient when challenges arise, this is rare. This is intentional. This is love in its purest, most disciplined form. It is not performative, and it does not seek recognition. She stays because she values the connection, because she respects the bond, because she understands that love is a choice, not just a feeling. Consistency over drama is also a demonstration of emotional intelligence. When she chooses to remain, she is managing her emotions, regulating her impulses, and prioritizing the long term over the temporary. She does not let petty disagreements, fleeting frustrations, or societal pressures dictate her actions. She is aware of the deeper dynamics of love and understands that relationships are built not on constant exhilaration, but on trust, patience, and the willingness to endure. And in that awareness, she shows that her commitment is not superficial. It is rooted in something far more profound than words or appearances. Look closer at her actions in everyday life. She checks in when she doesn't have to. She offers support even when it is inconvenient. She remains calm when arguments arise, not to appease, but to preserve understanding. She adapts, compromises, and aligns herself with the reality of the relationship, not the idealized version of it. And all of this happens quietly, without announcements, without grand gestures, without applause. She does not need anyone else to witness it because she knows the value of presence over performance, of action over words, of love that endures over love that entertains. Philosophically, this teaches us something profound about human connection. Life is not perfect. People are not perfect. Circumstances are not always easy. If love only exists in perfect conditions, then it is not love at all, it is convenience. But when someone chooses to stay through difficulties, they reveal that their care is not conditional. It is not dependent on external circumstances. It is a choice that exists independently of comfort, entertainment, or recognition. It is deliberate, patient, and transformative. It shows that love is not an emotion to be experienced in flashes. It is a practice, a discipline, a commitment that is cultivated every day. Washi. This consistency also communicates security. There is a profound sense of stability that comes from knowing someone will remain even when everything feels unstable. It builds trust, not because she promises to stay, but because her presence demonstrates it repeatedly. The quiet endurance of love gives you space to be yourself, space to grow, space to navigate challenges, and space to trust that you are not alone. And this, more than any romantic gesture, is what transforms connection into intimacy, care into devotion, and affection into love that lasts. Most people are drawn to dramatic expressions, to the highs and lows, to the intensity of passion. They confuse drama with depth, excitement with commitment, and spectacle with sincerity. But drama fades, intensity burns out. Words without consistency are empty. True love, the kind that changes your life, the kind that resonates long after the initial spark, is steady. It is enduring. It shows up, and she is showing up every single day in ways both seen and unseen, in ways both acknowledged and unnoticed. Her staying is a lesson in patience, in empathy, and in commitment. It is a demonstration of her understanding of life's unpredictability and her willingness to invest in the relationship regardless of external circumstances. It is the ultimate proof that her love is not superficial, not fleeting, and not conditional. She is choosing you repeatedly, consciously, and quietly. And that choice is louder, stronger, and more meaningful than any shouted declaration ever could be. So pay attention to the subtle consistency. Notice the presence that persists even when the excitement fades. Recognize the gestures that endure when convenience would have allowed absence. Honor the patience, the effort, and the quiet courage it takes to stay when everything is not easy. Because this is the love that matters. This is the love that transforms. This is the love that shapes lives, hearts, and futures. And remember this: love that stays through difficulties is not weak, it is strong, deliberate, and intentional. It is the ultimate proof that care, commitment, and devotion exist, even in the absence of applause or recognition. If you can recognize it, honor it, and act on it, you will understand a form of love that is rare, profound, and life-changing. Love is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet, steady, and unwavering. And when you finally notice it, when you finally appreciate it, it will change everything you thought you knew about connection, loyalty, and devotion.